right. Are we live? It says we're live.
Let me see.
Okay, so hello everyone. We are live. Are we live? Yeah, we are. It says we're live. Okay.
Yeah, it's echoing now.
All right. So are you able to see us, Shri, on YouTube?
Yeah.
It's all good?
See.
All right. Hold on one second here. All right. Here we go. And we haven't done this in a long time, have we, Shri?
It's been a while.
So this is great. We are live. We want to talk to everyone, and there's so much going on in the world. Oh my goodness, do we have a lot to talk about. So I thought it would be really special if we could do this today, because what I want to talk about is mainly the eclipse energy. And of course, everyone's going to want to know about the elections. That's like top on everyone's list. But we're going to temper that down a little bit because, you know, Shri and I, Shrikala Ram, my partner here, she and I, we're going to talk about really what's going on deep underneath everything that you see on the surface. And we've done so many videos on the elections and who's going to win, what their charts look like, all of that. So you guys pretty much know what we think is going to happen. We'll go into it a little bit, but I don't want to make that the whole entire premise of what we're talking about, because what we want to talk about are all the changes. And let me just say, these changes are monumental that are happening. And you can see it all with the eclipse energy. And I think it's so interesting. Here's what I want to say really quick here, that the solar eclipse, which happens on October 2nd, the same time, there is this powerful comet that's coming into view around the same time. But what I think significant about it is during the April eclipse, we had another comet, it was called the Devil's Comet back then, come in at the same time of the eclipse when it was most visible from Earth. And remember this, comets are signs and symbols for something. It's almost like there's a messenger coming into our solar system that's saying, look, there's something to pay attention to. Something big is about to happen in the world. And it is. Something really big is about to happen. And that's what I want to discuss today. But most of all, I think the world is changing. People are waking up. People are starting to see things, because what do I always say about eclipses? That they always bring out something that we didn't know about, something that was hidden. And that goes for your own personal life as well. So be aware that there's so much that we have to be aware about, because things are being shown to us. And of course, when we have wisdom and knowledge that what the stars and the planets and all the signs are giving us, then we can make better choices in our own life as well as the world. And yes, something big is about to occur. We're going to talk about that with the eclipse energy, as well as where all the planets are going and the retrogrades, all of that. We are in very interesting times. So with that, I want to open the floor for Shrikala, and I just call her Shri. Shri and I, we work together. My goodness, she is such an accomplished astrologer, and we always bounce things off each other to get information. And you know, when you have a partner like this, it's amazing, because it takes two to bring out more information. And one more thing I want to say, yes, we're going to take questions today. I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what your questions are. So Shri, go ahead, take it over, show us some of the charts that are going to give us the information about where we're headed as a society and a world right now.
Yes, and I have all the charts open, Joni, and thank you for doing this again with me. And you know, like you said, when we talk, a lot of things come out.
Exactly.
The comets, you know, you were talking about the comets, and I was looking at, you know, Indian mythology. They have constantly talked about how when comets show up in the sky, it does show the indicator of something coming up.
Mhm.
And, they talked about it in the Rig Veda, in the Atharva Veda, and it was called Dhumaketu in the Vedas. And they said that whenever, especially when it comes around an eclipse, it's very impactful.
Yeah.
So the next 6 months are going to be quite a ride for all of us.
Right. Right.
So let's look at the charts.
Yes.
Let me just share my screen. Can you see this, Jimmy?
Yep.
Okay, so the first thing is the eclipse. And here we have it. And a lot of the folks today, I recognize some of the names on the YouTube. So you guys already know astrology, some of you. But for those who doesn't, we are going to explain what the eclipse energy is. So as you can see, this is the South Indian style chart. And we always explain the South Indian style chart as, having the signs in the same place. So Gemini will always be on this corner of the chart and Virgo over here, no matter whose chart you're looking at.
So
So
can you move the chart over a little bit? It's kind of cut off just a teeny bit from my view. I don't know if that's what everyone else can see.
okay, let me see if I can move it
Just a
little
little bit. Do you see that?
bit. I think because I'm sharing, it shows in the correct place.
Okay. All right.
But
It's
let me see if
fine.
I
I
can
can
move it. How
see it.
about that?
Oh, that's perfect. You did it. Okay, love it. Thank you.
Okay, good. All right. So, and that's a good thing about Parashara's light. You can move things around.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the eclipse, right? So the sun and moon coming together. So you can see the sun, moon here, along with the nodes, right?
Right.
The Rahu and the Ketu. So here's the October 2nd solar eclipse. And, the first thing we do when we look at the eclipse is which sign is it showing up in, Pisces and Virgo. And I know, Joni, both of us, we have been saying that there's going to be a lot of those medical, health and healing kind of developments going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that this can also indicate a crisis, right, from a standpoint.
Right.
Because the Mars is aspecting it. If you can see, there's a fourth aspect from Mars.
Mm-hmm. And
And then
also
Neptune's also
Neptune.
in the mix
Yeah.
there.
Neptune can deal with disease. And I don't know where everyone is, out there, but I've known a lot of people who've had the flu. And Shri, you had the flu a couple of weeks ago. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, last 2 weeks.
yeah. So that's what this is about, whether or not it's a huge, big pandemic or anything, but it's definitely, the weather's changing and it's flu season. And so many people are sick right now, and that could be part of it.
Yeah. And also, one of the things with this particular eclipse is that it's in Hasta Nakshatra.
Yes.
And, in the symbology of Hasta being the hand, they also say it has a lot to do with medicine, right? A lot of times I see my clients who come in with Hasta Nakshatra, and they have either they are in Reiki or massage therapy, or they're always in some sort of health and healing
Right.
field.
Yeah.
But
And Saturn is getting ready to go back into Shatabishak, that nakshatra. It's right there on the cusp. And that one always deals with the 100 healers, which deals with healing. And so maybe I'm the eternal optimist, but what I really think could come about from all that medicine is looking deep into a healing, that there will be some new healing modalities. I think that is on the prefaces of just coming out, where we're going to get information on healing disease and certain incurable diseases that we're going to get cures for eventually this year. That's where I think this is going to go.
And I think I don't remember what house in his chart was getting triggered, but Elon Musk's chart, do you remember that, Joni?
Yes.
There was an indication of him coming on to some breakthrough towards the end of this year.
Yes.
And I was thinking it could be something more on the medicine standpoint, even though he's
I
all into
agree.
SpaceX right now.
I agree. I did a video on that recently, and I think it's that he has Jupiter and Neptune in the sixth house, in Scorpio. And that's where I think he's going to come out with some amazing breakthroughs for cures for
No,
disease.
transiting Jupiter is aspecting it. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was pretty interesting because I do think, and now as you can see, there's so much around space as well. Space
Mm-hmm.
exploration. They just sent what is that? The Polaris Dawn. They're doing the first commercial flight, I believe.
Yeah.
So there's just so much going on, and that's all Uranus, right? And Shatabishak.
Yes.
Those are the two.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm
So the
looking.
other thing yeah, go ahead, Joni.
I was just going to say, I'm going to be looking at everyone's questions because I'm able to see them right now. So y'all just keep putting in there. And I've seen so many people say they've had the flu, which is terrible. It's like, yeah.
It's been bad. I mean, the last 2 weeks I've been sick, guys. I'm still having a cough.
That's terrible. I'm knock on wood. I'm good right now.
Yeah. We don't want you falling sick, Joni.
Thank you. I'm too busy. I don't have time to get sick.
You're too critical for bringing astrology mainstream. We are just following you.
Yeah. Thank you. All
Yeah, I
right.
see some people are saying there's cures for epilepsy, pharmaceuticals, Neuralink. Yeah, good. Yeah, so that's what it means, right? I mean, the Virgo and Pisces axis and Shatabishak.
It is. It's all about health and healing. And another variable that I always think about when I think about Pisces and Virgo is that Virgo is like so detailed and so focused and organized, but Pisces can kind of be like a victim in many ways, where Virgo is kind of like the victimizer. And you're going to find all these people with these scenarios of feeling like they've been victimized, or people have, done certain things to make them feel, or they feel like a victim. And one thing I always say about that is, if you're a victim, you're never going to get anywhere. We have got to break out of victim mode, because victims, they're always blaming everything outside of themselves for what's wrong in their lives. But we have to get it together and realize, till we take control of our own lives and fix whatever.
There was when you said that, Joni, I remember there was I think it was a Buddhist, or if you guys know who said this, let me know. I don't remember if it was a Chinese philosopher or a Buddhist philosopher who said, when you blame others, your education has not begun. When you blame yourself, your education has begun. And when you don't blame anybody and you know that it's life, that's when your education is complete.
That's so true. So we have a lot to learn right now from where the planets are. And I think that's important to realize. Never be a victim. And that's what this planetary energy is setting us up to do, be a victim. And then again, it deals with health and healing, serious stuff around health and healing, and hopefully cures will come out of this time. Yes.
And another thing, Joni, was, somebody was asking, where is the comet right now? So when the lunar eclipse happened 3 days ago, which was, let me go to the 17th. It was, you said, Joni, in Virgo, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's somewhere around Virgo, but what's interesting is this comet has a retrograde motion, and it's going to move back into Leo. So it's Virgo Leo is where it is during the time of the eclipse.
Yeah, this was the lunar eclipse, and at that time it was in Virgo.
Yes.
And then when we talk about the solar eclipse on October 2nd, it's going to be in Leo.
Yeah.
So for all intents and purposes, we can think that, it was in Virgo during the beginning of the eclipse season. So it does have a major indicator there. Again, being in Virgo, that's health and healing, right? So, and another thing, Joni, the sixth house also does rule conflicts, just to kind of, talk about everything that the sixth house rules.
Right.
So that's why we have the charts of all the other countries here.
Yeah. Yeah, so here's the thing. We know something's about to happen. And another thing is, and I always tell all my students and everyone I know, that when we start getting messages from people that have passed on to the other side, like we have dreams and we just start feeling their essence more, they're always warning us that something's about to happen. And it's definitely on my radar. Something's about to happen. When I start dreaming about everyone that I know that's passed on to the other side, it's almost like a warning. So we have to pay attention to what this warning's all about. There is definitely warnings everywhere. Doesn't everybody feel it? I mean, you got to know, you got to feel something's up. And eclipses are going to always bring up something we didn't know about. And, that goes particularly with the area of war. There's so much that's about to break out. That's where I really wanted to spend a lot of the energy talking about the conflict in the world that is about to break out. And of course, we know these elections are going to cause a big rift in our society. Doesn't even matter who wins. One side is going to be so angry because, what everyone's talking about is this is an election that will change everything, no matter who gets in. This is a big turning point for not only the United States, but the world. Okay. So, so what chart are
I
you
think
going
we'll start with the USA chart.
Good. Yes.
And one more thing, Joni, before we go there, should we just show them the station points of Mars?
Yes. Yes.
Because that's so critical.
That is
looking
so
at these
critical.
countries.
One thing that I always teach all my students, and I haven't seen it a lot in a lot of the Vedic studies, but when a planet is going retrograde and direct, and when it changes direction, such as you guys know, we always talk about Mercury retrograde, right? Well, all the planets can go retrograde. Of course, the sun and the moon don't, but when they do, and they slow down to turn retrograde, they actually come to a stop. Well, not exactly. Our planets are always moving, but pretty much we call it stationary, right? And so there's a point when a planet turns retrograde that it slows down, and then turns to its retrograde position, which means it comes to a stationary position. When it's at that stationary position, that planet is, I don't know, I could say 100 or 10 times or 100 times more powerful. And that degree mark is so meaningful. And so what we do as astrologers, we take that degree mark and we put it across all these different countries' charts, the birth of a country or the birth of a leader. And when we see these degree marks being hit in a country's chart, we know something's going to happen. Mars is the planet, I feel like that's energy. It deals with the energy, it deals with anger, it deals with hostility, and it rules war. So we're looking at Mars for when people become enraged and angry and war breaks out. So Mars is going to go retrograde. And then there's another point when it's going retrograde. It's going to be retrograde for quite some time. And then it moves to where it's going to turn direct. And at that point, it's stationary again because it's changing from retrograde to direct. So it stands still again. Those 2 degree points are vitally important in terms of looking at them in countries' charts, or if you're looking at it in presidents' charts, and or if you're looking at it in your chart. Because it's going to cause a big event when you see those degree markings. So that's my little class to teach you what we're looking at right now. So Shri, now bring it up and let everyone see what I'm talking about. What we're
Yeah, and since Joni was explaining that, I do want to add that this is what we learn every week at the university. When
Right.
Joni does these live webinars, we go over concepts like this, some of them which you may not even see in other courses, especially the outer planets and the stationing degrees. And also, Joni, I'm going to tell them that you share the stationing degrees and all the transit degrees with all your students for the upcoming year.
Yes.
before it's even published.
Yes.
So yeah, so like Joni was saying, here's the Mars, right? And it's at 11:56 in Cancer. It's going forward. And notice what happens when we go a couple of days from here. So now it's 11:57, and notice the R, that's retrograde. So that's the station point, right? 11:57 Cancer. So if you have any planets at around this degree or 11:57 of Capricorn, that would be a very sensitive degree for you. Okay, and that's what we look at in all these country charts. Now, let me take this off. And the other one, Joni, there's another station in Gemini, right? So let me go back to.
Yes.
So now it's going backwards. Watch the Mars. And now it is direct. So let's see which degree. Right here, 22 degrees. Okay,
Yes.
of Gemini. So this is very interesting, Joni, because I always think about numerology. And here you have 11 and 22.
Yeah. Master numbers.
Master numbers, both of them. So yeah, so 11 degrees Cancer, 22 degrees Gemini, and the opposing degrees. So if you have planets there, that's going to be a major area of focus for the coming 6 months. Okay. All right. So that being said, let's go to the country charts now. I know US has a few planets in Gemini. It has the sun right there.
Yes. So
do you need me to move this, Joni, or let me see if is it visible?
It's visible. It's just not centered, but that's okay.
Okay. While you're talking, I'll center it.
Yeah. So everyone can see there that the sun sits at 22 degrees of Gemini, which is where Mars is going to station in February. What was that, about February 20th or 24th, somewhere around there? Yeah. And so this will affect the United States heavily. And one thing that the sun rules, when you're looking at mundane astrology simply means astrology for the world. It's not about personal astrology charts. So when we're making world prediction, that's mundane. And the sun in a mundane chart represents the leader, the president. And this is the chart for the United States. So the sun is the president. And here we have Mars stationing direct at 22 degrees of Gemini. And Mars can mean attacks, Mars can be violence, Mars doesn't necessarily always mean the leader, although it can mean that, but it can mean that the United States could be attacked with Mars aspecting the sun there. And this means, really going into 2025, we've got some really dangerous things about to transpire for the United States. So,
yeah, and when you think about people's charts, sun is their life force or energy, right? So whenever Mars or Saturn transits their sun, they tend to fall sick, or there is some accidents and things like that. So with Mars being on the sun for a country, I agree with you, Joni, that it can intend some kind of attack or unrest, civil unrest, right? Because it does show that there could be riots and those kind of things. And what is interesting, it's not exact though, but it is pretty close. The Saturn at 24 degrees and Virgo, the Mars is going to aspect that.
Exactly. And so Saturn is in the 10th house, which is another indication of the government leadership, rulers. But this is like the United States is under attack. Now, let me point something else out, and somebody did mention, I think it was Sherbet up there said that it's February 24th, which they are correct, when Mars is exactly stationing at 22 degrees of Gemini. But it doesn't mean it has to happen on that day. Okay. But it happens around that time that it's like heavily influencing this chart. And Mars, as it's going back and forth, it will be 24 degrees, 22, 24 degrees around these times where it's going to hit Saturn, conjunct the sun. It's just like this is hitting the chart heavily of the United States. And actually, you know what else? When we kind of look at those degrees as markers. So when other planets, even after this point in time that Mars activates that 22-degree marking, when other planets aspect it, sometimes they trigger it. So let's just say, that Mars being retrograde and going to this 22-degree mark, which actually Mars is going to be there in a few days. I think, let me look that up in my ephemeris. I think it's in a few days. Mars is around, right now, Mars sits in Gemini, and it will be 22 degrees in October, around October 3rd through the 5th, somewhere around there, give or take a day. And so every time that Mars crosses that degree of the sun, which is 22 degrees in the United States chart, it's going to activate violence. Okay.
Yeah.
And
also, Joni, doesn't the stationing have more impact than it moving over it?
yes, absolutely. But it's almost like it marks this spot where it's going to station. And even before and after, these degrees are sensitive degrees. It's almost like an eclipse. I say eclipse degrees are sensitive. And even after the eclipse, that's like, I call it like a landmine where a transiting planet comes back over that degree that the eclipse occurred. It activates events. And so do these stationing degrees of the transiting planets. Yes.
I was wondering about that too. So the eclipse degree was, let me remember, 10 degrees of Virgo, I believe. Let me look at it. Because we need to see when does it go there. Yeah, it was around 15 degrees of Virgo,
Yes,
right? That was the
degrees.
Hasta Nakshatra. So
Yeah.
let's see when Mars gets there.
So I always find around the time of eclipse, it's that eclipse degree, and what that eclipse degree is when the sun and the moon are exactly conjunct. Because remember, a solar eclipse is a new moon that's tied up with either Rahu or Ketu. So, so that's 15 degrees. But Rahu and Ketu, their degree markings are huge at this time as well, because here's what I love about using the true nodes. If those of you that know astrology, you can use the mean node or the true node. And so many people ask, well, which one do I use? I actually find both of them work. But I use the true node because it's where the nodes really and truly are. And what's interesting is around the time of an eclipse, the nodes stand still for 3 months. So that degree that Rahu and Ketu are at, and remember, they're always exactly opposite, those are sort of like indicators of when planets get close to those degree markings, big things happen. And of course, Ketu's at 12 degrees of Virgo and Rahu's at 12 degrees of Pisces. Very sensitive degrees, along with the degree of where the sun and the moon are exact in the solar eclipse, which is a new moon. And this one, by the way, is with Ketu. This, 6 months ago, the eclipse was with Rahu. Then 6 months later, it goes to the opposite point, is Virgo. So you always have an eclipse either with Rahu or Ketu, but in this time it's with Ketu, which Ketu is losses. It's difficult. It's like something is coming out that will indicate some sort of loss. Now, a good thing that I do see about that eclipse, though, I must bring out, is that Mercury is there exalted. In other words, Mercury in the sign of Virgo is its most powerful position, and Mercury deals with intelligence, knowledge, information. So, what I think Mercury means next to this eclipse exalted is information is going to come out that is definitely going to cause a sense of loss or serious losses around the world, but it's information that needs to come out. It's valuable, it is truth, and it will deal with healing on all levels for disease or healing emotionally. The world needs this. The world needs all of this to finally come out so that we can have a clearing in this world, because I do believe, and I'm going to say this right now, I believe we're going to go through a really difficult time period with right after this eclipse. With the elections, it doesn't take an astrologer to tell you we're going to go through a really, really difficult, crazy time, but it all needs to sort of like happen. Sorry about that. It all needs to happen because this isn't even my phone in here. Anyway, this all needs to happen. And hey, you know what? This is interesting because whenever I see the phone ringing or a chime, it's almost like omen that what you're saying at that time is really important. It's like the universe is saying, pay attention when a phone or something rings. And what I was about to say is, yes, we have to have all of these explosive events occur so that we can have a clearing. Because my optimism is that a lot of astrologers disagree with me. Let me just say that. But I think something really good is going to come out of all of this. And I believe by the time Jupiter goes into Cancer, which will be in 2026, there will be an amazing healing. But we have to go through the fire, through the tunnel, through the explosive, catastrophic events to get there. But it's going to make the world a better place. Okay. What do you think?
And I was thinking, Joni, when you look at this eclipse and make these degrees exact, 1551, again, it has that symmetry about it. It's a palindrome, right? It goes the same from the back to from the front as well. So I was wondering if this just means that after this, there's going to be more balance in the society,
Yeah.
And also Jupiter is aspecting it, right? Even though it's not exact, it is aspecting it. So I do think that, yes, there's going to be a shakeup, maybe some tough times, but as soon as this is over, there's going to be more balance, I feel. The fact that it's here. And one more thing I wanted to, Joni, is this particular degree mark of the eclipse. And if you look at the ascendant, we can look at this chart as the chart of the eclipse, just using the ascendant too.
Right.
So for DC, that would mean that the ascendant in Sagittarius at that time, right?
Wow. And look at that degree, 22 degrees.
Yes, exactly. I'm seeing the 11s and the 22, all the angel numbers.
Yeah.
And if you look from this ascendant, all of this is in the 10th house. So this is definitely leadership.
Right.
And Sun is hemmed in between Ketu and the ruler of the 8th.
Yes.
Which is again tough. So, I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat this. There's going to be a little bit of a shakeup. But I think by the end of this eclipse, the April-May timeframe, things will start looking a little better. I think that's what we were seeing even from a transit standpoint.
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, the ascendant being 22 degrees, this is about Washington, D.C. at the time of the eclipse. And Mars, even during the day of this eclipse, is at 21 degrees. It's exactly opposing the ascendant. And of course, it's sending its forward square to the eclipse energy, while Jupiter aspects it. It's pretty amazing what's going on in the heavens. And even Saturn, I know it's not a Vedic aspect, but I always look at the quincunx for the 6-8 or the 8-6 relationship. Actually, it is actually called the Shastaka in Vedic astrology, which simply means 8-6 or 6-8. And if you know any astrology, the sixth house is accidents and health and difficulties. It's also overcoming things. But the eighth house can deal with endings and death. You put all that together, that's what we're about to go through with Saturn aspecting the sun, the moon, Mercury, and Ketu in a 6-8 relationship. There is so much coming down, but we need to go through it. It's just been all building, building, building. And like I keep saying, and everyone's getting tired of hearing me say it, the truth is coming out, but it is. And this has never been like this before, where we are actually able to see reality and truth, because for so many years, you know how I love to go back to the Kennedy assassination. We have not known the truth of what governments have been doing. They've been doing whatever they want and hiding it all and getting away with it. But now we're all going to know the truth. That's what I keep saying. Okay. So,
and I tell a lot of my clients too, Jody, that, when these aspects are happening in 6, 8, and 12, what's the best thing to do at that time is to study or to learn metaphysical subjects.
yeah.
Because that's what those houses stand for. So, I was going to tell everybody about our new semester starting on September 22nd. And, the chart that we have up here. So, this is such an amazing time to start, because you have Uranus, which rules astrology, sitting with an exalted moon, and Jupiter, all in Taurus,
Right. Right. So I chose this day, by the way, if you don't know what Shree's talking about, I chose this day astrologically to start semester 1 with UVA. I've got to talk about this because, as I always tell everyone, one of my greatest accomplishments in my lifetime, seriously, aside from my 3 beautiful sons, is that I started the University of Vedic Astrology, where I teach all of you how to do this. And let me just say this. What could be more powerful in this world than to be able to predict the future? And with Vedic astrology, you will have that tool. I am serious. You can predict the future of your family, your friends, people. And I feel like if you know your chart, you have a map of your life. You have a map to follow. It gives you the guidance that you need, really and truly, to find your purpose, to be able to help others to find their purpose, to know when good times are ahead, to know when to pull back and things aren't good. So I always plan the start date for the university special because when I'm able to start the start date, that is the beginning of your whole study period with the University of Vedic Astrology. And let's just tell you what it's all about before we continue on, because we have a lot to talk about with the wars and things that are coming. But let me just say this. The 22nd, I didn't even realize it was a master number when I picked that day, but it is. But I love the exalted moon with Jupiter in Taurus and Uranus. Uranus is the planet of astrology. Come on, it doesn't get better than that. And I even chose the time that it began. 5:30 in the evening. It's on a Sunday, Central Standard Time. And it's just the best chart I could find for people to begin this, because I think, no, you got it at 6:30, Shree. It's at 5:30. But and the
So I
reason
changed it because of Eastern. Let me make it Dallas, and then I'll make it 5:30.
Okay. You're echoing though. I don't know why. But 5:30, it puts the Jupiter moon in the 5th house, which is the house of astrology. That's all I know. And that's what we're all studying. So let me just say this really quick, guys. If you have questions about the university, we're here to answer them before we finish. We'll save that to the end. But let me tell you how it works. It's all online. I teach a live class every single week to inspire everyone. We use world events to teach, but every week I have a live class. Then you have like 40 videos and 40 lessons where you take tests, and you are assigned a live tutor. And that tutor will answer your questions and grade your tests. We don't have any grades. If you get something wrong, you just have to go back and keep doing it till you get the correct answer. So then after 5 semesters, the sixth semester, you're going to do all the work. You're going to be able, I'm going to give you a chart and say, hey, figure out when this person came into money. Here's a 10-year radius. Using everything you learned from UVA, you will be able to make those predictions. And if you get it wrong, you have to keep going back till you get it right. This is how we learn. Also, this is a community. We all come together and we talk amongst one another in class. Plus, you have a Telegram group where you get to talk with everyone in that group. And, that's where you meet friends and you get to talk to people with like-mindedness. And I just think it's all self-paced. So if you fall behind, you know what? We start over and over and over again. Every year, I start twice a year, and you get to watch for semester 1, the live classes, or semester 2, but it never expires. That's what I love about UVA. If life gets in the way and all of a sudden you fall behind, you can't complete. When I start over again, start back up with us. That's how it never expires. And I'll tell you something funny, guys. I have people that started 7 years ago with me that still come to the classes because they get to listen and hear astrology and we talk. And we are very alone in this world. We don't get to go out and talk about these planets all the time. People roll their eyes or they just don't get it. So it's a community of astrologers. And we also set you up so that you can have your own business in astrology. We teach you how to do that. And last but not least, if you want to become a teacher, you can do your own class with the university. Yes, you get paid, you make money, you can become a tutor. I pay you. And it is just the most amazing thing I think that I've created. I'm very, very proud of UVA. And like I said, it doesn't beat my children, but it's up there in accomplishments. Anything you want to say about it, Sri, before we move on?
Oh yeah, Joni, especially when you talk about making a career out of this, right? As many of you know, I have the opportunity to have a class on the university with Joni, and I teach the Gemini course. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity. So, the main thing with this is look at this chart. Taurus, which is the 5th house, astrology, ruled by Venus, that Venus goes into the 10th house of career. So whatever you start learning at this time, if it's in the 5th house area, you can have a great career out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, like Joni said, once you graduate, you can become a tutor, you can do readings through the university. And like me, you can have a course on the university platform. Yeah. And also, if you look at this chart, look at the eclipse, it's in the Pisces Virgo axis, right? 3-9, which is again to do with learning. Mm-hmm. So this is actually I don't know, Joni, if we thought about all that when we picked this time, but when I look at this more, I'm like, wow, there's so much more here.
Yeah, no, I did think about all that because I also teach everyone how to do electional charts. You can plan charts for events because you get to pick the day. And I really wanted to start this in September or August, in August, but there wasn't any good days astrologically. So I had to choose this day because it's good astrologically, because it is all about learning. I wanted to put Rahu in the 3rd or some planets for learning, and the K2 sun are in the 9th house, because don't forget, astrology is a spiritual subject. It's spirituality, and that's why we all get into it essentially, so we can grow spiritually as human beings and use this roadmap to excel with this. So if you guys, if this has spurred any interest in you, go to the university website and sign up before class starts on the 22nd. So we only have a few days. So go to universityofvedicastrology.com and you guys can become connected with us, learn this, become, close friends, and we will make sure that you get it. We're all here to help you in learning. And I mean that we do everything to help everyone. It never expires, so you'll never lose out. And the last semester, like I said, you're going to learn how to predict someone when they'll come into money, when they get married, things around health or illness, when someone would get sick, what's part of the body that causes you to get sick, how you can prevent things in your life, most of all, and yeah, even how you can prevent things. So that she's pulling up the university website so that you know where to go, what it looks like, how to sign up. There's all the semesters of what you're going to learn. And the sixth semester is where you do the work and see if you can go to the sixth semester and show them what they're going to learn how to do. And the fourth semester, all of them. In the sixth semester, yeah, you get to learn how to plan charts, to pick the best day for things, health and disease, career. What career should you have? When is there career opportunity? And then we even teach you how to promote yourself in the business, because you want to get into this to have it as a career. This is career oriented. Seriously, I want more astrologers in the world to start helping people. This is so important. Astrology, I believe, is the best tool for self-development. And all of you guys, this opportunity, you get to come together. When you sign up for the entire university all at once, you watch all of the videos that I do all throughout the year at any time. So, and you get a semester for free if you sign up for the whole university. So if you know you're going to do this, as this is your passion, then you want to do the whole thing, the full course, because that way you save money and you get to participate in everything. You don't lose out.
You get a free semester.
Right. Yeah. So anyway.
And I also want to add there, Joni, about the research groups. The reason I'm talking about that is because if you look at the chart we are starting the university on, the Mercury goes to the 8th house of research, which Mercury is the planet of learning. So I'm hoping this, batch of students, just like all our previous batches, I mean, we've had such wonderful students at the university. So, we are hoping that a lot of researchers come out of this, because a lot of astrology and our predictions is researching what happened in the past. And, we also do a lot of research on medical astrology. We have a group that does that. We have financial astrology. So any group that you're interested in, you can branch off. Or if there's a group that is not there, you can create your own group. So it's very flexible.
Yeah, so we are just a community, we're a family, and if you've always wanted to learn astrology, Vedic is the way to go. It is more predictive, it's more spiritual, and it's more accurate. So if you've always wanted to learn Vedic astrology, this is your answer. I'm not just saying that, but it's not just me, it's the community, and it's Shri. Shri teaches a lot of classes for me. And I have a lot of my students that take over sometimes, and this is where you can get your foot in the door and really be a professional astrologer. We will do everything in our power to help you if that's what you want. Yeah.
And somebody was asking, Joni, if you have to be excellent in mathematics.
If you have to be excellent in what? What was that?
Math.
Oh, heavens no, I'm not good in math. Heavens no. The computers do it all for you. You've got to really and truly.
So, I mean, we do both, right? If you want to learn the math side of it, we have that information for you. But it's very overwhelming for a lot of people. So what we do is we show you how to use the software. And like one of our examples that I want to show here is on the university. I think I had it up earlier, but I think I closed it. One of our students, his name is Sandeep. In the first semester, he created a bunch of videos on how to use Parashara's Light software. And that's so important to learn, because when you look at the software, it's going to show you all the information that you need. It's just a matter of figuring out how to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's why, I think we, like, Joni encourages everybody. And she said, okay, if you want to teach everybody how to use Parashara's Light, and he was really good at it, so he created the course, right? Or the number of videos that he put over there. So, yeah, you don't have to know math, but we will teach you how to use the software. And also another thing, if you join the university, you get a 20% off on the software.
Yeah, and you know what? I have a magazine too, and you can write for the magazine. We welcome new writers all the time. So, I mean, this really, we have so many opportunities going with this community that and most of all, you get to meet new friends and you feel like it's a family. Seriously, we are.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it is. All right, so let's look at all the other country charts then, Joni.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm glad you brought that up because we're talking about, dates and times. And the 22nd of the month, I didn't even realize that was the 22nd, that magical, mystical master number. So I can't wait.
I always notice those numbers, Joni, because I see 1111 all the time.
Yeah, me
I don't know
too.
if it happens with others. You do too?
Oh, I do all the time. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Morning
yeah.
and night. And the weird thing, I thought maybe my mind is trained based on where I am to look at the clock at that time. But then if I don't, I see a license plate in front of me. Or
Yeah.
even if I'm traveling to India and the time zone is different, I'll still see it.
You're right. I know exactly what you mean. Or, you know what I see a lot too is 108. It's like, because when you learn Vedic astrology, 108 is the mystical number. I'll look at the clock all the time. It's 108. I'll go to the grocery store. My bill's 108. It's just so crazy because, it's the universe speaking to us and connecting with us. It really is.
Yes,
There is that
absolutely.
divine essence everywhere we go. We're all connected. I know this. And so, yeah, on the 22nd, we're going to find some new people that love and are passionate with Vedic astrology, and we'll all come together. And I can't wait to meet all the new people. I'm really looking forward to it.
And these classes are literally like a party because we all get together, we talk about charts, and Joni comes with the most interesting charts in these webinars.
Yeah, I try to
it's
bring out
always a current event, something
Yeah,
that has
always.
happened in the last week.
Exactly. If somebody passed or somebody just had a big event happen, won an award, or became a president somewhere in the world, we look at the charts. We want to know what's
Yeah.
in the charts that caused that. That's how we learn through current events. It makes it more interesting,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Joni, for US, we went through all the transits, I believe. So 22 degrees. And then the beginning of December, when Mars is here, there's nothing at 11 degrees, but it's 15 degrees, I believe.
Mm-hmm. I think that's still close enough. A 3-degree orb. Mars, it's 11 degrees, 50 some odd minutes. It's 12 degrees. And Rahu in the United States being 15 degrees. I mean, that's in the 8th house. That deals with finances, money. Mars hitting that. Get ready, guys. This is proof that the economy is going to crash. And here's the good news. For those of you that have a little, and a lot of us don't, but if you have a little spare cash saved up, you can invest because I guarantee you this crash will not last. Okay. And so, but get ready. Everything's going to crash, go downwards, but then it's going to pop back up later. But I'll give you all the dates and the times as we go through this. But this is.
I think it's going to pop back up around the April timeframe.
I do too. I'm with you.
And another thing I noticed, Joni, so if the Mars is going to station at 11 degree and it's going to affect this Rahu, It
Right.
goes back and it sits on the sun at
Right.
22 degrees, and that's in February. That's when it's aspecting the Saturn, which is the ruler of the second house of money and finances.
Mhm.
So I do think that that is the most volatile time
Yeah,
between December first week and the third week of Feb.
I agree. I'm totally with you. But another thing is the eighth house deals with corruption and,
Mhm.
big money behind the scenes. So you guys won't be surprised when all of this comes out about corruption that's been going on in the government. So we're going to find all of those things are going about to happen as well.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So should I go to the next chart, Joni?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So we have Xi Jinping. Oh, wow. Look at that moon.
Yeah, see, there is something big coming up. Then nobody's talking about China. Everyone's looking at pretty much Russia and Ukraine. And I mean, there are a lot of people talking about China, don't get me wrong, but the focus is not totally on China, which I think it needs to be. Because look at the moon. This is not an opinion. This is astrology of what's going on. Look at his Mercury. Yes, that's where both the points where Mars is going to station to go retrograde and direct are relevant in his chart big time. Look at that moon. And let's see, in his chart, well, it's in the first house. It's
It's in
affecting
the first
him
house. Yeah.
personally.
And it's very close to the Ketu,
Very
right?
close. I mean, they're on top of each other.
Ketu.
There is something big happening with Xi Jinping and China as well. And if you look at that Mercury being 2157, that is essentially 22 degrees. And it's in his 12th house with hidden secret agendas. There could actually be something happening to him. Maybe, people in his government that might do something that causes him harm or problems or issues. Another thing that I think is really important about his chart, though, if you'll notice where the sun is, it's at 0 degrees of Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
The United States natal Mars is 0 degrees of Gemini. So the United States and Xi Jinping are at war.
And I was thinking that too, because the US chart is also triggered on both those dates.
Right.
So it is kind of matching in both. But
Right.
another thing I was thinking, and we don't have that chart up, is Japan.
Yes.
I think Japan had some planets here. Let me see if I can find the chart.
Well, if you'll notice, Rahu Ketu, 10 degrees, 33 minutes. That's where Mars is going to be stationing. It's going to be incredibly intense. But even if you show the chart for China, Shri, that has these planetary degrees active. So we know.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay,
we know something's up with China and the US big time.
I'm sorry, every
So
time it opens it up in this huge screen.
Yeah.
Let me pull this away. Yeah, it's 21 degrees. It's not 11 degrees Cancer, but there is moon at 10 degrees.
Right. The moon is what's critical there. The moon is exactly opposite where Mars is slowing down and stationing at 11 degrees. There's the moon at 10. And it is critical what is going to be happening between China and the US.
And
So,
what's also crazy is that moon is the ruler of the seventh house, which
yeah,
is opponents.
which is opponents, exactly.
Mhm.
So, and look where K2 is in this chart. That's crazy. It's right on Saturn in the United States chart. Remember, Saturn in the USA chart was 24 degrees of Virgo. Not to mention, talk about the sun being at 14. That's where the eclipse is happening.
Oh,
At
I didn't even see
15
that.
degrees, hitting the sun there. So, and I've heard some psychics say, and I think I tend to agree by looking at this chart, that China is going to split up into different, like, states or countries in essence. And this really does prove this point to be true by looking at, and if that happens, which I think something big like that is due to happen, Xi Jinping's going to be furious. That's why his chart is so afflicted during this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have people talking about Russia, Ukraine, and Israel. Okay, we're going to look at all those charts.
Yeah. And Ashley,
And
whose chart is this? And this is China's chart we're looking at. We just looked at Xi Jinping's before. Yeah.
so yeah, we saw that. Okay, now we're going to go to Iran. And let me pull this to the middle.
What I find fascinating about Iran is that Pluto sits at 24 degrees of Virgo, right smack dab on the United States Saturn in the house. It's 24 degrees of Virgo. Pluto is catastrophic. Pluto is major shifts and changes. Iran has it out for the US. Let me just say they are not happy. But that Pluto is, I hate to say it, but when Pluto was discovered, that's when we came into atomic nuclear energy. And, I think that they're wanting more than anything to get nuclear energy to come after the US or, Israel. So
yeah, now I also see the 11-degree mark here. It's exactly 8th aspect with the Venus. It's 1022. Again, that 22. I don't know why we keep seeing that today.
Yeah. Incredible.
And it's in the 8th house, which could be difficulties and tension.
Okay, so
let's look at Israel.
Right.
Okay, that's interesting. Look at that moon.
Look at the moon, 11 degrees. That is just astounding. That is where Mars is going to be stationing. So guys, it may not happen tomorrow, but it's going to happen before the end of the year because Mars is right there, slowing down, crossing over the moon. And remember, the moon is the most sensitive planet in a chart. This is astounding what we're seeing.
Yeah, and the 22-degree mark, there's nothing, but it's very close to the ascendant degree, which is 29. And that's squaring it. That's a 4-degree, sorry, not the 4-degree, the 4th aspect.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Yeah,
So their moon is the same as, who was that, Xi Jinping? No, with China.
Yeah, well, no, Xi Jinping, he had his moon there around 11 degrees.
11 degrees, yeah.
In Israel, 11 degrees. I mean,
that exact station mark, what are the odds that all these charts have it?
I know. And even Netanyahu had some incredible degrees, I believe.
Oh my God, look at that 23 degree, 22 degree.
Right. Where where K2 is conjunct the United States Saturn. That's right where Pluto was for Iran, but who else had that 23 degrees in Virgo? Someone else had that, one of the countries, but but looking at this, yeah, when Israel was attacked, excuse me, when Israel was attacked, those a year ago, that's about where K2 was around. He had a nodal return with K2 on K2 and on his natal moon, right there in Virgo. So this started everything. It's not over. There is a lot more to be had happening here. So yeah.
So, yeah, I do see the 22 degrees, but it's not exact, but Saturn will be opposing it in the 10th house.
But still, those degree markings work. They're in probably where Mars is going to be. They're in a 3-11 relationship. I know some of y'all don't know what I'm talking about, but my students do. Yeah.
Yeah, but once you guys join, you will learn that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. So we looked at Netanyahu. Who did we not look? Russia. Yeah.
Yeah, let's look at Russia.
21 degrees, Jupiter.
Wow.
Let me see if I can circle that for everybody. And
Yeah.
then, Jody, the destiny point.
Yeah. The Brigue point, that's what BP stands for, guys. And the Brigue point is the destiny point. So it deals with a certain destiny. And what I have found is when malefic planets, natural malefics, which are the natural malefics, Mars, Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, and the Sun, whenever they conjunct the Brigue point, bad things happen. When natural benefics hit the Brigue point, good things happen. So we're talking Mars. When it stations, that's a natural malefic. It's going to be right on the destiny point, which means difficult things will happen. Notice the moon, though, Shri. 9 degrees of Capricorn, where
Oh,
Mars
I didn't
is
even
going to
see
be
that. Yeah.
opposing that within a 3-degree range. This is big. Yes.
And that too in the seventh house. Again,
Right.
opponents.
Incredible.
And you know, the other thing I noticed was, I know these are outer planets with the Neptune and the Uranus here in the sixth house, but still, if Mars is going to be on the Jupiter, it is opposing that Neptune in the
Yes.
sixth house. Again, conflicts, and it's something hidden.
Well, and notice
It's
where
not very
natal,
clear.
yeah, look at natal Mars. It's opposed that eclipse degree. That eclipse degree is at 15 degrees of
Yeah.
Virgo. Mars is 14 degrees 57. It's within, 3 minutes of being exact in opposition. Mars is violence. Mars is war. This is like, it's going to get much more heated up. I hate to tell everybody, this is a big thing.
So between December and February, that's a very intense time for most of these countries.
Yes.
And as we go towards April, things start getting better. And I did notice, Joni, I was looking to see if Mars went over the eclipse point, and it doesn't, because the next eclipse comes.
Right. Well, Mars is what's so interesting. Mars is going to be back and forth in the sign of Gemini and Cancer till mid-June. It's never going to go out of those two signs till next June. So, yeah.
So, Joni, can we consider when Mars is aspecting that point?
See what was
15-degree point?
What was that? I'm sorry.
So if Mars is not going to cross over the eclipse point, can we consider when it's aspecting it?
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, on September 11th, Mars was opposed the exact eclipse degree. So it activated September 11th by aspecting the eclipse degree, not being exactly, conjuncted. So absolutely, the forward square, the eighth aspect, that's the full aspect of Mars, definitely has an effect.
Yeah, although I don't think it goes that far though, 15 degrees, because the 15-degree point is sensitive degree after October 2nd, right?
Oh, I see.
After that, it doesn't hit that.
Yeah, well, that's good. We don't want this to happen.
Yeah, we don't want Mars to go over the eclipse
Right.
point. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, are there
Okay,
any other
good.
countries that we want to look at before the end of
Let's
this?
ask the
Yeah, let's
audience here
see.
and see if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, what are your questions out there, guys?
Somebody's talking about, let me go up here. Operation Desert Storm. Oh yeah, the Kuwait-Iraq war. I was a refugee in that war.
Yeah, yeah,
I grew up in Kuwait, and yes, during that time we were there, and we were there for 3 months during the war. It was horrible.
yeah. I told Shri I want her to tell her story, where she came from and being a refugee. I'm going to interview her for the magazine, and she's going to tell us about her life, which is fascinating what she went through. So, yeah.
You'll read all about that in the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see what questions everybody. Do you guys have any questions? We are just talking among.
I know. I'm tired of child trafficking. Me too. That's the most horrible thing that's going on. I can't believe this world has come to that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm with you, Ashley. Okay, Japan. Pull up Japan's chart.
I was thinking about that
You have Japan's
because the
chart, don't
eclipse
you?
degree, if you noticed, what was you saying, Joni?
I was saying pull up Japan's chart. Yeah, Diana wanted to look at
Okay.
Japan.
Okay, I was just looking at the question somebody asked about layoffs, and Joni, I was thinking the October 2nd eclipse, if you noticed all those planets with Ketu was in the 10th house, could that indicate more layoffs?
Yeah, it means problems in the government, and definitely that would be layoffs and problems in businesses because the 10th house is business. Yes.
Yes, okay, that's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Japan's chart. Let's pull that up. And whose question was that?
I think it was Diana. I'm not sure. It kind of saw it just a minute ago.
Okay, let's see what the question. So Diana, tell us what your question is. But looking at this chart, that's Saturn,
She just
9
said,
degrees.
yeah. So looking at Japan, oh my God, there's Saturn.
The point.
The Brigue point. Mars is going to be on it. It's kind of like, when you see all these countries involved, it's like there's going to be something that involves everyone. Serious stuff here.
Joni, also the eclipse degree, 15 degrees, and even that 17 is pretty close.
Mhm.
And the 15 degrees here, Venus.
Actually, you
Third
have a different
house.
chart for Japan than I use.
Which one's the chart you use?
Let me look. I'm gonna pull it up on my laptop, but I know that in the first house, there's all sorts of planets in the.
I know that there was a lot of confusion when I was pulling up this chart too in the past, because I wasn't sure if it's the independence date, or I think they had another one in the 18th century.
Well, no, this one was the same year. And remember, I used to have a website in Japan for 7 years, and my interpreter gave me this Japan chart, so I think it's very purposeful. So it is November 3rd, 1946 at 8:30 a.m. in Tokyo.
I think then that must be the correct one. Let me go pull that up. November 3rd.
1946,
Okay.
8:30 a.m. in Tokyo. And it's got a Scorpio rising.
Yeah, that's it.
There we go.
Let's see what's going on here. Oh, the Saturn is pretty close to the 11-degree mark.
Yeah. And it's
And the moon will be 8th aspect from the 22-degree. That's in the 3rd house. Let's see what else is going on.
And
also, Joni, the 22-degree on the Brigue point.
Wow. There you go.
Exact.
That's huge. Mars aspecting that fully exactly. So the United States and Japan are involved in this.
And China.
Yeah.
I think China and Japan only.
Maybe that's it. China and Japan will be after each other, and the United States has to come to the rescue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I see even the 15-degree, the Saturn, it is the 3rd aspect to the eclipse degree where the Neptune is sitting. There's something hidden here. See, whenever I see Neptune, it's not clear.
Right, absolutely. And another thing is Saturn sits at 15 degrees of Cancer. That is the United States Rahu in the 8th house. Don't forget, we bombed them. There's a connection between the United States in a very difficult, terrible way. We were at war. Hopefully we can make amends and help them out this next time. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's good. Whoever asked us to pull it up, I was thinking, what's going on there? Good.
Yeah, and Diana says Japan and China, it's coming. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that surprises me. I didn't see that together like that before.
So somebody asked for India's chart. India does have a lot of planets in
Oh my
Cancer.
God. Yes, pull up India. There's too much going on with India.
Let's see. I have two charts though, the Republic and the Independence. So let's do the Independence.
Okay.
That's the one with a lot of
Oh yeah, all those
Cancer.
Cancer.
Okay, here it is. It's bigger. You can see it.
Yes.
Well, Mercury is at 13 degrees.
Yep. I mean, all those planets in Cancer are huge. Something big is going on in India for sure. And anything else going on?
You know that 22-degree mark where Mars is going to station? It'll
Mm-hmm.
be exactly aspecting that midheaven.
Wow. That's true. The
And
midheaven, yeah.
that's the leadership, it's the government, right?
Yes. Yes.
Let me just show the birth data in case anybody wants. Right here.
Okay. Yeah, so that's India's.
And eclipse on the Neptune. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's, I think, all those countries, 1946, 1947, they all have that Neptune there.
Yeah.
15-degree mark.
Okay.
All right. So what other questions did anybody have?
Okay.
So economic downturns and upturns for a country, can you give an example?
Okay. Well, really, when I look at for a country, I mean, I have to look at the country. Just I look at it as though I'm reading an individual's chart. So we'd look at the second house for money and the 10th house for business and work. That's how we do it, not just, But I will say that we can always see economic trends where Jupiter and Saturn are, because Jupiter is wealth and Saturn is the economy and Saturn is the government. So when you look at where those two planets are relative to one another, you can see the cycles of money and finances. That's actually what I wrote about in my book, Astrology and Money, that I wrote in 2008 when everything crashed. I thought somebody needs to write a book explaining the cycles of finances and money in our world, and that's what I did. So there's a lot to consider, not just one thing.
Yeah. And also, Joni, when you look at stocks, you have another process that you use, which you
Right.
also explain in the university.
Yeah. So I can look at, a particular company stock when it was first traded on the stock market. I look at that in terms of the chart to be able to see what stocks will go up and down. And I actually write an article every month in Joni Patrice Astrology Insights magazine. If you all want to get my magazine, which Shri and I, we're very proud of. Shri does a lot of the work and interviews for the magazine. She's amazing. And I mean, we interview some of the most amazing people in the world. Seriously, this magazine is amazing. It's only like what, less than $9.99 a month. And it's got all these fabulous articles, astrology articles, but we have an interview of somebody that's done something amazing that you'll want to learn about and, take note of. But anyway, if you go to my website, yeah, look at all the people. I mean, I'm glad you brought this up. Look at all the people that we've interviewed in the past, all the different months. And it's all online, by the way. It's like you get to read it on your computer. It is a beautiful, beautiful magazine. And some of the people that are coming up here that we're interviewing, you won't want to miss. I'm not going to tell you, I want it to be a surprise, but
yeah. And it's a candid interview. I mean, they tell us about their life, their inspiration, how they came to where they are. And it's so inspiring. You can see how they, persevered and got to where they are in life. And these are like people who have achieved like a lot.
Right.
And it's interesting. And, in the upcoming months, and like Joni said, we don't want to give it up, but we have some really good interviews.
Right. Yeah. So I'm glad this came up because, I don't think the magazine gets enough attention for what it is. It's truly, truly amazing. And by the way, while we're talking about this, if you are part of my Patreon group, you get the magazine free along with a live class on spirituality. We have a spiritual community. We meet every Tuesday and I talk with you live. And here's what I love the most. Listen up, guys. We are going to start having people that are part of Patreon tell their story in our class. So, in other words, the once a month, everyone that's part of Patreon will get an opportunity to tell their story to everyone. And it's a story of their spirituality, how they became enlightened, what's happened in your life, to share it with others because, I think everyone's got an amazing story and we can all learn from one another. And that's what we do in this Patreon group. It's called the Shooting Stars. And now we're starting to have a segment in the Shooting Stars where one of the participants of the Shooting Stars has 30 minutes or more to tell their whole story. We're going to start making it a podcast for everyone to see and hear everyone's story. So I want to empower everyone else. I don't want to do all the talking. I want other people to share. And that's what we have going on Patreon. And the magazine comes free when you're a Patreon member. And while we're talking about it, don't forget about my galactic planner, everyone. My galactic planner, you get it free, totally, no strings attached. Try it for a month. If you don't like it, cancel it. I just want you to try it because I know you're going to like it. So go to galacticplanner.com and you get your chart calculated exactly free. All the transits to your planets in your chart are calculated. And guess what? It goes into your calendar on your phone or your computer so that you know what's happening every day to you personally with your chart. I am so excited about the Galactic Planner. You guys have to try it out. Tell us what you think about it. And Shri and I are constantly working on it and improving it and making it new and better every month. So that's
all. Joni, what I wanted to kind of also add to that was the planner, when I installed it on my phone, it predicted an accident that I was going to have. And I think I told you about this.
Yeah, of course. It does that.
I was very careful that day because I was like, okay, because, the Saturn, Mars, and I already knew it because, as an astrologer, I kind of look at where the planets are going. But the planner, on that day, it showed me with the emojis and everything, and it reminded me that it's on this day. And sure enough, I had an accident, but, with God's grace and, of course, the planner reminding me on that day,
yeah,
I was very careful. So it wasn't as bad as it could have been,
Yeah. Okay. Somebody says we keep asking about the election. Have you guys not seen my YouTube channel? I've been giving my predictions. And one thing I want to say right now is, I'm always afraid to put it out there because people get mad. They get angry if their candidate isn't going to be the one that wins. So, and everybody says you're biased and all that. But I have to say this. Trump's chart is more powerful. I've already predicted that I believe he will win the election, but they're going to try to disqualify him. So whatever, it's going to go both ways. Be quiet, Chester. That's my dog barking. So
and I also noticed, Joni, for Trump's Varshafal chart.
I did a video on that, Shri.
Yeah,
that's going to come out. Unbelievable. A Varshafal chart is the solar return chart for your birthday. And I looked at it and I was actually astounded because it says absolutely he'll win. And let me say this, doesn't look like he's going to win right now, but I have to stick by what I think the chart says. And the chart says that he will win, but but I'm looking at the the inauguration chart, and it looks really bad for Trump. So don't ask me why he'll win. And then I just think maybe it'll be taken away, or there's going to be a big war or something that interferes with everyone by looking at this Mars stationing, you know? So this Mars stationing says something big is going to happen that deals with wars and problems. So anyway, so what is somebody saying? Kim in Nature says, I'd like to know what the transits mean in the galactic planner. Well, that's what we do. It's all written out. You don't have to know any astrology to know what's going on. It doesn't just say the aspect. It does say the aspect, but you know what? You don't even have to read that. There's an option where you can take off the aspect, but it tells you what it means for you personally in plain English. You don't have to know any astrology. So I'm glad you asked that. Okay. So
And that's why it is so good, because it shows you emojis, and I'm going to show you a quick snapshot of what it looks like.
oh, good.
So see, like this, and this is the website galacticplanner.com. And if you don't know the transits, you don't need to, because when you go in, it tells you in plain English what that means. And then you have the emojis to just kind of go by, you know. It's very, very intuitive and easy to understand. Like, see, open communications with your partner. This is easy to understand. You don't have to know astrology for this.
So I'm really excited about this. That's why I want you guys to try it out for absolutely free, no strings attached. Cancel it, I don't care. But I wrote all of the translations, and Shree's helping me write more of them. It's, you know, it's a tool. Let me tell you something really fast so you're gonna love this story. Chester, be quiet. This story is my son Austin, who every 3 months he'd sit down and I'd read his chart, and he'd type it all into his phone. So I told him one time, this is right after he graduated from college, I said, he was really focused in his work. And I said, you know what, Austin, you're going to meet the girl you're going to marry on this day. This is no exaggeration. And he did. And from that, on that party when he met her, it was love at first sight. He shows her his phone where he wrote in, he says, my mom's an astrologer, and she says, I was going to meet you today. And he shows her his phone. I'm surprised she didn't run away. But she looked at it, and sure enough, they ended up getting married. But now my son said, Mom, why don't we make this for everyone? So he came together and got it all organized and figured out how to program and get the charts calculated. So now everyone gets to have all the predictions in their phone day in to day out to know what's going to happen for you. So that's the story behind the planner, how it got going.
And it's such a good price too. I mean, $8, for a month.
Yeah.
And you get all the aspects for that day. And, if you go to an astrologer, you can get a good reading, yes, but this gives you everything daily.
Daily.
Right?
Yeah. Including the moon's transits, everything. So
and we are building more into it.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope you all enjoy it, but give it a try. Cancel it if you don't like it. I don't want you to have it if you don't love it, but I feel like you're going to love it. All right. Anything else anyone wants to know? So we didn't want to talk about the elections because, it gets everybody all upset and hyped up, and we don't want that. We don't want separation. We want everyone to come together and love each other and love astrology. That's what we're here to do, to help you guys mainly, because if we know the future, we can avert things or we can change things. And I always say, don't be afraid, because all of us will be divinely, I know this, protected. Go within and ask the spirit within you, which is you, that you need protection and to not be fearful, because everything that's happening is happening for a divine reason. Everything needs to happen this way, and it's going to be healing in the long run. Everything's going to come up surface, be exposed, and clearing, big clearing. Doesn't even matter who you went for president. That's irrelevant. The healing is for the planet. It's all going to come out. It's all going to heal. We're going to come back together and not have all this division. Give it a couple of years, but that's what I predict. In a couple of years, there won't be this division anymore. People will come together, and it's not going to be about who's president or politics. It's about coming together as a community and loving each other again, and focusing in on our spirituality. That's what we're all here for, and community, coming together. So that's what I want to leave everyone with. Shri, you want to leave anyone with any of your last thoughts?
Yeah, we always talk about it, Joni. There is a divine plan to everything. So it doesn't matter, in the short term, who is the president, or, who's winning in the debate, or that kind of stuff, because what ultimately matters is the karmic cycle. So whatever has to happen in that divine design of life is what will happen. And I believe that is for the greatest good in the long term. So we just have to kind of realize that, all we can do is take care of ourselves, our bodies, right? Our health, our families, and kind of keep us balanced, right? Mm-hmm. Do the best work we can. And that's why, we are starting the university at this time, because we feel like it gives hope to everybody, right? You're starting something new, you're learning something new, you're progressing your life forward. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's all about. Right.
That's right. Beautiful. Thank you, Shri. Well, I think thank you guys for being here. We love you, and we love to answer your questions. We'll do this more often to keep you in the know of what is happening in this world, because it's going to get crazier, but keep your soul, keep your balance, and everything's going to be okay, because everything is happening for a divine reason. Trust and know that. So thank you for being here, everyone.